Welcome to Pario Magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I am joined by a graphic designer and artist who has been participating in art exhibitions recently. Welcome to Pario Magazine, Dave Faint.
G'day. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So we're here today to chat about your journey through the world of graphic design and art. But before we dive into that, do you want to give our audience a brief little introduction as to who Dave is away from sort of the visual arts realm?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a graphic designer and illustrator, artist, animator, a lot of other different kind of things. I live in Sydney. I've been here for about 10 years now. I originated in central Queensland. So making my way to the city has always been such a journey because I really wasn't ready for the city for a long time. I still don't know if I fit in here that much, I definitely still bring up my Queensland roots, especially in my hair and all of the weird stuff that I wear. Just pretty stoked to be in the city and practicing graphic design, something I've always wanted to do. Same with art as well, which I'm trying to get into a bit more as well. So that's basically me in a nutshell as a country boy who's just trying to have a bit of a crack in the city. So yeah.
What was it that brought you to Sydney rather than Brisbane?
Well, I actually did start my journey in Brisbane. I'm from a place called Claremont. So that's about 12 hours inland from Brisbane. I made my way from there to Rockhampton. Found out about graphic design in boarding school, and then I moved from there to Brisbane. Studied my design degree at Billy Blue there, and then moved from there to Sydney. Just chasing that affordable housing. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you made the right choice there.
Yeah, no, definitely wasn't a selling point for me. There was just Brisbane wasn't really happening about 10 years ago. It kind of is now. Actually, it probably would be a really good place to live now. But 10 years ago, it was just a bit small, and it was just kind of looking like it would come up in the future. But Sydney was definitely the place to be. So I just finished my course in Brizzy, and then had an auntie here. So I came and moved with her and just thought I'd just give it a go here. So obviously turned out okay because I'm here still.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. So have you always sort of been sort of inclined to like draw and do art, or what was it and how did you discover that first passion?
Yeah, so like my mum is so she was a nurse for a long time, out in the sticks, out in the country. Was such a good like mentor with art. So she also just did a lot of mural painting and large paintings kind of thing on canvas when she was just at home with me when I was growing up. So I would do a lot of like live drawing with her. So her friends would come over and would draw them all nude when I was about like 3 to 5 years old. I've got these wild photos of us drawing like really intricate drawings of my mum's friends nude on the patio when I was a little kid. My dad and my granddad were just terrified to come past the house at the time. I definitely got into it through my mum. I got a huge passion for it when I was a kid. Watched a lot of Art Attack.
Oh, what a show.
I think we all loved it. Like that show rules. So I think that one as well kind of probably pushed me a little bit more towards graphic design as well, of all the different kind of things that you can do with art as well. So art isn't just painting. It's like, all of the different things that you can do with that and all the things that you can create with that. So that's pretty much where my passion came from both sides. But yeah.
Yeah, so they're sort of the two early inspirations. How have the inspirations changed over the years?
I think just probably more my influence with getting closer to the city would have just been like something that has been huge for me. Obviously not growing up around like graph culture and things like that, but also being very like into it. That and tattoos as well. I've always been super interested in both, but having like less exposure to it. So I'd see tattoos and tattoo books, and I'd collect them, and I'd try and get my hands on anything that would have anything to do with graph culture out in central Queensland, which you could tell it would be pretty minimal. But as every other kid would be collecting, I don't know, different magazines when they were kids, whatever the hot magazine would be, I was always just grabbing tattoo mags and drawing all the different tattoos in there. And I think that's probably a bit of my styles kind of come from that, with the hard lines and things like that. So, but that was when I was growing up. When I'm actually at the city, it's still pretty much the same thing. So I'm still obsessed with tattoos. I'm obsessed with graph culture and just city culture in general. I think just city culture has always fascinated me. So
And
yeah.
I guess now you're like constantly immersed in sort of graphic design inspiration in the city. Everywhere you look, there's some sort of artwork or poster for something.
Yeah, 100%. So I've been living in Redfern for nearly the whole 10 years, which is like pretty much right in the heart of it. So, we've got the inner west all around us with all of the graph that kind of comes out there, all the street art. And then just working in graphic design in the city has just been huge for me. So
And how did you sort of transition from that initial sort of classical art background to moving towards the graphic design?
well, it's kind of funny because I didn't know what graphic design was until I was probably about like 14. So my mum was always pushing me to kind of do some sort of art that you could get paid for, which is like, so rather than just do, art, I guess she never got paid for it when she would do it. It was always a hobby kind of thing. But just because of my passion for it, she always wanted it to be a career for me. So we were always trying to find out what that actually would be. So when I was uh, at boarding school, I kind of found out what graphic design was, and as soon as I got the connection with that, and also computers as well, being quite interested in technology, it was just fluent straight away. So as soon as I started doing things for that, also just marketing in general, everything about graphic design just really took my imagination, and it was something that was very new to me and still is a very interesting new thing to me. It's just constantly changing and developing. It's just like constantly something that I am super fascinated with. So
I guess that's sort of something you don't really take notice of as a kid. Like we all see posters and magazines and things, but you don't sort of think, oh, an artist is putting this together.
100%. Yeah, I was never looking at typefaces when I was a child, but I'm definitely spotting them now and annoying my girlfriend with talking about them. So yeah, no, I like, you see graphic design in everything now, which is super fascinating, especially with design that happened before computers. When I first started looking at design, they didn't really know what graphic design was in the country, and it was still without computers. So we were doing graphic design by drawing, like, with rulers and things like that. So it's funny to see how far it's come with like the introduction of technology. And I think with AI and stuff, what's going forward, it's just going to be another boom of it changing again. So
Yep. And we see that circle come around, like we see the vintage graphic design, like logos and things sort of come back at times as well.
100%. So like all of the styles and trends, they just go in waves for sure. But yeah, it's pretty wild to see that all the things that I grew up with is now classified as vintage. That's kind of alarming.
Yep.
But yeah, like I think, yeah, I love to do things in 90s or early 2000s style, which is, classic vintage retro stuff now, which is, yeah, just definitely shows my age. But no, it's really cool.
And we mentioned you've sort of been getting into the art exhibition space recently. How has your graphic design career then fed back into the artistic approach?
Well, so the things that I've been doing with the exhibitions recently are just straight up a reflection of my graphic design. So I've been really working on my own graphic design career rather than my own art space. Just everything that I've been learning of my techniques has been directly for works in graphic design. So different posters or logos, anything that I create with my style will just be for graphic design. I don't really do too much personal stuff. So now that I've been trying to do a little bit more personal stuff, I've been trying to use my skills from graphic design and transform that into an actual physical piece. So I haven't really been doing much painting in a long time. So I tried to figure out a way to create a physical piece, but by using my illustrations that I do digitally. So like quickly as an example for this, what I've been doing recently in my exhibitions, I draw everything on an iPad. I do it all completely digitally, but that way it's broken down into different layers. I'll put all the layers together and I'll cut them all up and get them all ready. And then I print them all out into just different slides. I thought the best way to actually do this fast and really clean, because everything digitally is going to be super clean. And I wanted to replicate that and not do too much brushstroke kind of stuff. Just do really nice hard lines and stuff like that. Keep it nice. I pretty much wanted to keep it very replicated to what I was doing digitally. So I print them all out. I'd stack them all up, and I get a bit of glass and I paint every single frame back to front on the glass, like a cell that they would do for like cartoons back in the day, any animation kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll just do that all the way backwards. So then when you turn it around, it's actually quite a clean representation of pretty much what I've done digitally. So that was like what I did for the first exhibition that I did about 3 or 4 months ago, just to see if I could do it, because I did not get this technique off anyone, even though I know it's been done a million times. I didn't really get too much time to research it or try experiment or anything like that, because one of my friends, my mate Rowan, had an exhibition called it was a skull exhibition where he drew a ton of different skulls for Good Space. It was excellent. It was so good. I just saw him at the Lord Gladstone, where Good Space is, the gallery. And he offered me to just jump into his exhibition, which was only 2 weeks at time. So I pumped it out in 2 weeks. Just I Hail Married it. I'm like, I'm going to draw this. I'm going to paint this. I'm going to give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Luckily, it did, which is I'm pretty stoked about. And then the one that I've just done recently, I actually just went like way more intricate with it. Instead of trying to do it really simple and make sure that it worked, I knew it would work. So I just went full on and just like smashed out a really intricate kind of painting. But in classic fashion, I spent about 2 months thinking about it, and then spent 2 weeks actually doing
actually
it.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty intricate process to put it all together. Like, it sounds like you're kind of basically doing this artwork 2, 3, 4 times to get it to the finals process.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Like, and then with the new painting that I've just done, that I showed last night, actually, I added a few other elements into it. So I think I've gotten it to a point where it's a little bit too full on. I think you add any more elements, it'll actually, like, someone will jump out of the painting and punch you in the mouth or something like that. So I think that's already a bit too far.
It'd be memorable.
So it would be memorable. Yeah, 100%. If I can work it out, I'll do it for sure. But yeah, no, so the what I've done to this to add to it, I've figured out this printing technique that I used for one of the bars that I work for. So I work for a company called Solotel. That's where I do all my graphic design for. So they've got about 27 different bars and restaurants in Sydney. The group is amazing. This has nurtured me completely over the last nearly 2 years, and my graphic design graphic design as a whole has just gone like tenfold. But also my animation, I never knew how to animate before I worked at Solotel, and then I've just basically learnt everything off YouTube in that time. So I've directly put that onto what I've been doing externally for the group shows. So I also created this background for Goro's, the place. I did a menu for them, and I made the background of the menu a lenticular print. So it was like the Tarzos that you'd get.
Yep.
Where you kind of see the two different two different kind of images, and when you move it, it'll change. But for this one, for the background of my actual artwork, I actually changed it to be 20 different frames of the same thing, but moving slightly. So then when you actually saw it, instead of it changing from one picture to another, it actually would look 3D. So I had that as the background, then did the painting on the front in the glass, and then I used AR to connect my animation of it to it. So then when you brought your phone up, it actually would start moving and animating.
Oh, wow.
So there's three different major elements into that, and it was so traditional in the sense of painting onto glass. There was kind of animated, so digital, which is the actual animation, and then there's kind of a blend of both of them by doing printing, which would be more digital, but then traditional, sorry, but then also the digital sense of it being lenticular and kind of forever being an animation without actually using technology. So yeah, I was trying to blend all three.
Very nice. Has that been an
Yeah.
exciting process to sort of go back to the art roots and just have free reign of, I want to make this thing?
100%. Yeah. So doing my own personal work is really good because I just do whatever I want, and I can fully like let my imagination just go crazy with it. And I also just kind of like doing things even if they're not completely right as well. With graphic design, there's always a major purpose with it. With my own work, I can do something that just doesn't make any sense. So I added like a 2003 dubstep remix to this as well because I thought it'd be funny. So
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
that's the thing with art. It's not necessarily made with any other purpose other than to elicit a reaction out of the person that watches or checks it out.
for sure. Yeah. There's no advertisement going on here. It's pure entertainment. So
And is this sort of blending of the digital with the traditional art something that you want to continue to explore, or do you want to sort of, you've mentioned it being a little bit complex, maybe scaling back just a touch?
I'll completely continue with this 100%. The artwork that I just did, I was stoked on it. Pretty much came out exactly how I envisioned it in my head. It is heaps of work, but it's so worth it. I haven't really seen too much work with lenticular printing, and I think that's a really interesting kind of way to do my art that'll stand out of the crowd a little bit. I've seen some ways of people painting with lenticular. There's an artist out there that you can walk past his artwork and it'll change like from a young woman into an old woman, something like that, which is like super interesting. But this way, it's my own spin on it. Instead of actually painting that way, I'm actually getting it completely made and adding it to the artwork. Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I'm loving this kind of how it all turned out. I'm definitely going to make a fair few more. The idea is to just continue a few more of these, do a few more of these little group shows with other amazing artists in Sydney. And it just gives me deadlines to make sure that I actually do the work as well.
Mhm.
And then I'll collect all this art, and I will do a solo show at some point. So that's the
Yep.
plan.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is this all sort of building towards a full solo show?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So this will be the first one that I did for the exhibitions was me seeing if I could do it. And then this one was me seeing if I could do this more complex style. And now I'll just be rolling out that style. So I'll be continuously doing things like that, coming up with different kind of ideas, different ways to animate it as well. I'm sure they're only just going to get crazier. So I'm going to lose a lot of sleep, I reckon. So looking
Yep.
forward to it.
And are you working on anything special at the moment, or is it just kind of, okay, I've got this exhibition's over. Now I can take a little break and then come back to the next thing.
Well, I've got a few more ideas. I've also got like a lot of ridiculous ideas in my notes that just don't make any sense. There's like people like man with chainsaw hands or something like that. So I've got to kind of sift through what I've written down and see what is crazy and what isn't. But I've got some really good ideas to actually do another painting. happy to jump into another group show soon. But to be fair, what I actually do day to day with Solitel is what I focus on the most. So that's gonna take up most of my time. But yeah, I'm constantly thinking about doing another artwork. So yeah.
The classic creative's dilemma of do stuff to pay the bills and then filter through all my other crazy ideas to find the one thing that will actually work.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Luckily, working with Solitel, I get to do a lot of my crazy ideas as well. So it's pretty good. So I'm like constantly doing crazy stuff. So I'm definitely not deprived in that sense.
Fantastic. So finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track your creative journey moving forward?
It would just be my Instagram at the moment. So that's at F full stop AINT. I'll be doing a bit more stuff on there. I think I'll be doing some TikTok stuff at the moment with my actual process and showing a bit of the shows. I think there's quite a lot of in-person kind of stuff with my artwork that you can't really just show in a picture. So I'm going to try and actually create that into a TikTok or some sort of video content, maybe reels, something like that. So yeah.
All right, perfect. We'll put all the links there and good luck with the build up and we'll see you at a solo show hopefully soon.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Great talking to you, hey?